Hello, hello, hello. Hey, 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 hey. What's going on? Yo, girls. What up? What up with your sexy selves? What up with your sexy selves? Bird, chill. I want to bring my blanket over here. Yay! I was doing good. I've been productive. I got 2 pots planted with my elephant ears that Big Daddy bought me this week. Got my bird feeders filled before the rain moves in tomorrow. We're supposed to get 3 to 4 inches of rain in the next week. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's what that is. Yes. Y'all still with me? Cover my feet up. My tootsies are cold. Hey, I went outside. Save your baby daddy from what? I was getting ready to say, I went outside and your baby daddy was like, he totally ignored me. And I was like, yes. Hey, Miss Surly, how are you, sweet pea? Look, my nails are nasty because I got dirt around them. Yeah, the rain's supposed to be moving in tonight or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow. I don't remember. And by the end of the weekend, we're supposed to have 2 inches. And then it's supposed to rain for the next 7 days. Every single day for the next 7 days. But you know what? It's supposed to be in the 70s this weekend. So I'm all for that. Oh, he's got places he goes and hides during the rain. Don't worry about your baby daddy. Shirley, you doing all right, darling? Is it warming up any? Is it warming up any in Chicago? In the big C. Well, come feed your baby daddy. I call him my sexy rooster because he struts his stuff around like he's some stud muffin. He ignored me today, and I was like, yes. Whew, good, Shirley. Girlfriend, it was 72 degrees today here. Loved it. Nina, did you talk to Ruth? Is she going to be able to be here? I don't know. Honey, 45 is better than 5 below. 45 probably feels like a heat wave for you guys. Alrighty, y'all about ready? I think I'll get 2 chapters in tonight. Maybe the chapters are a little long, so hopefully I can get 2 in. So this book is called The Underliner, and it was based in Sydney, Australia. And so you're going to hear a lot of Australian lingo. If you have any questions about anything, I don't know if Ruth will be on here tonight or not, because like I said, she's an Australian author, so she is down under right now. So she's at least 12 to 7 to 12. This is 7 to 12 hours ahead of us. So whereas we're getting ready to go to bed, she's getting ready to get up. So we'll just have to wait and see, or she may already be up. I don't know. Confuses me. So, but anyway, they're, I'll just get started reading it. It's about well, I'll just let you see what it's about, because I've already read the whole book, and it's a really good book. It's a really long book, and it's got a lot of twists and turns. It's a very deep book. It's not one of those you can just read at the beach one day with a lot of different. This is one of those you got to kind of concentrate on. So, but it's a really good book. I really did like it. So, chapter 1. He looked at his ticket again, wondering where along the line the mistake had been made. He was at the back of first class and wasn't impressed. He threw his bag in the overhead compartment and muttered as he sat down in the window seat. And no, I'm not reading this in an Aussie accent. You guys know I don't do that very well. Mm-hmm. I hope they know what they're doing down there at least. I hope they know what they're doing down there at least. The ground crew became a blur as his thoughts drifted to what would happen when he touched down in Sydney. He was looking forward to seeing his lion, sleeping in his own bed, being surrounded by his own things, and seeing familiar faces in person instead of over the internet. His life was waiting for him, and he was more than ready to resume it where he left off. He was returning with more knowledge and experience than he had when he left over 3 years ago, and he was determined to make his department the best. A heavy thud and a nudge to his elbow caused his head to turn, and he saw that a woman had arrived beside him. "Hi, I'm Benjamin," he said, looking up at her. She didn't respond, and Benjamin noticed she was wearing earphones, and she rummaged through the large handbag on the armrest. He was finding her actions rather comical as she took various items from the bag and put them into the seat pockets. He looked up at her face, but she was in her own little world. She stepped out of her shoes and bent down to pick them up, then wrapped the shoes in a plastic bag before putting them in her handbag. She sat down and shoved the bag under her seat using her heels. Benjamin had been looking at her the whole time, but she still hadn't acknowledged his existence. She fastened her seatbelt and crossed her legs into a child pose onto the seat, then removed her earphones. "Stupid, classless flights," Benjamin said, knowing she could hear him now. "Are you talking to me?" she asked. He could see she had a cute face, but the tracksuit pants and oversized flannelette shirt weren't doing anything for him. "I was wondering out loud if I was actually in first class or whether you were in the wrong place." "This is the seat I chose," she replied. "You chose to sit at the back of first class? I would have been front and center if my travel agent had done as they were told." "What a shame. Then you could have been the first passenger in the dirt when the plane nosedived. Benjamin smiled. Cute, cute. Will you be talking the whole way? I could probably talk for 8 hours straight if you want me to, he replied. Thank fuck for headphones and in-flight entertainment. Charming. Oh, did your precious little ears hear a naughty word? Suck it up, princess, she replied. I like to hear the F word as it relates to actual fucking. You're obviously a dirty talker. What sort of sex do you like? She raised her middle finger and gave him a sweet smile. Nice, Benjamin said. Want it right here? She furrowed her brow and lowered her middle finger, then quickly put the plane's headphones on. Benjamin turned his attention back towards the window as the flight attendants went through their safety procedures. The plane took off without incident, and Benjamin knew the attendants would be coming around soon. By the time they made it from one end of the plane and back a few times, the flight would be over. He looked at the little screen in front of him and wondered whether there were any movies showing he hadn't seen already. He put on the headphones and touched the screen, flicking through the radio channels. He looked at the woman next to him, who was busily reading while shaking her head and curling her lip. He wondered if he did the same thing while he was reading and couldn't help watching on in curiosity. This writing is so verbose and dramatic, she said. Are you talking to me? Benjamin asked, lowering his headphones. No, I'm talking to this lame and predictable book. Then they kissed, right? This shit is so same. How could anyone read more than one of these? What was Kiara thinking? Are you still talking about the book? Benjamin asked. I write better shit than this, she said. You write? Yes, but not these kinds of things. They're quite ridiculous. But maybe I should write these. They're a lot more popular than what I write. Nina, this goes back to our conversation today. Who I never did talk to. I never did call him back. Benjamin was intrigued. What's so much better about what you write than this kind of erotic romance novel? Everything, she said. This takes no effort or imagination. It's the same story out of a cookie cutter. Just change the name, location, heartbreak, and his in first position, they fuck in, and it's the same story. And what do you write about? And just so you guys know, this is not the same story as this is not your typical romance book. And what do you write about? I write about mystery novels starring a detective. She shrugged. I keep people on the edge of their seat and thinking they know who did it, but they're always wrong. Would I have heard of you? She shook her head. No, I write under a pen name and I'm not a bestseller or anything. Too many people are busy buying the same story with a different name to look at mine much. The people who do read me love me though. Why are you reading that book if you hate it? A friend gave me a few to read on the plane, so I thought I'd be polite. I haven't read much fiction since I was a teenager. I'm happy to know things don't change. Well, that's not true. They haven't changed, but I have. I did kind of like them when I was younger, but now I know they're bullshit and I don't find escape in them. I find lies, perfect bodies, and false ideas. I mean, seriously, look at this cover and the cover of the others she gave me. Really? Who needs a guy that looks like that? Unless you need to do your washing on those abs, what purpose do they serve? Benjamin laughed. Washboard abs? I got that. That was funny. Nevertheless, I have nice abs. They do exist. Want to see them? She gasped and grabbed his arm. I just thought of a great idea for a new book. She bent forward and pulled her handbag out from under the seat, took out an orange notebook, and moved the elastic aside. Benjamin smiled as she pulled the pin on a lanyard out from between her breasts like she was hauling in an anchor. She laughed to herself a little as she scribbled, "Perfect." Is that how you usually come up with ideas for your story? Just randomly like that? Absolutely, she replied. That kind of spontaneous thought is how all of my books are started. They evolve and develop into something marvelous, all from a single spontaneous thought. So, your books are marvelous, but you're not a bestseller? Why not? He asked. I don't know. I don't actually know how people become a bestseller. I think it's because they have a spike in sales, and if they sold the most books that week, they get the title of being a bestseller. It's just at that point, though, they could be a bestseller for a day, but have a terrible book. Then why does it matter if you're a bestseller? Oh, it doesn't matter. I just thought people have I just thought people have only heard of bestsellers, so therefore you couldn't possibly have heard of me. I'm an independent self-published author. Go indie authors. That's just a fancy title for someone who wrote something and stuck it somewhere for other people to see. Benjamin said, "Thanks very much. Way to make me feel insignificant." I can't make you feel anything, Benjamin said. If my words touched a raw nerve with you, it's your problem, not mine. Being a self published independent author is an achievement. I'm not saying it's not, but anyone can do it. Getting published by a big publisher is a whole other achievement. And I tried getting published, but I gave up. Now I look on the upside of that, which is that by doing it all by myself, I get to control all elements of my books. Does it pay well? Benjamin asked. No, she laughed. Not at all. I write because I enjoy it. Sure, everyone dreams of being paid to do something they love, but it takes work. I make 30% of my sales at the moment. And how much do you sell your books for? 99 cents. Sorry, Benjamin replied. It was like a whispered stutter. Did you say 99 cents? Yes, I did. So I get 30 something cents per book, minus tax. And how many have you sold? Benjamin asked. Well, I need a calculator to work this out. 30, including the ones I bought myself, 5 books, 6 copies of each. So, yes, fine. I know it's not a lot, but the first time someone bought my book, I was so happy and nervous and excited, and I thought, wow, I'm a professional. Benjamin leaned forward to look at her. She glanced at him and looked away from him. Interesting, he said. But that didn't answer the question. Or maybe it did. You think they're marvelous, but other people don't agree with you? No, but they would if they read it. But unfortunately, people want to read shit like this to escape the same way over and over. I actually want to tell a story that makes people think about something other than sex. Benjamin folded his arms. Fair enough. And you can have that view. But the fact is, they're popular for a reason. Just because you don't know what that reason is, doesn't mean you should call them shit. Somebody just like you worked hard to write it. They spent their time, effort, and energy in putting that book together just like you did. So maybe they're all really similar and they don't take a lot of plot angling or challenge, but someone wants to write them and someone wants to read them. Don't call them shit. It's beneath you. They're flowers in the same field as you, honey. She nodded. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I just want someone to love my stories like I do. I'm trying to reach out to people and share something with them, and I feel like I'm a beggar in the street or something. I just get so frustrated. That's okay. We all get frustrated sometimes. Do you have an editor? No way. Editors suck. They want to change everything to fit into a slot or to suit their own taste. No, I don't need an editor. I'd like to read one of your books, Benjamin said. Where would I find one? Online. I can't afford to print them yet. That's my goal. For now, they're just ebooks. But you wouldn't like them. They're not your kind of book. Benjamin smiled. Okay, and how would you know what kind of book I like? Hey, Jackie. I guess I don't, but the whole point of having a pen name is that people don't know who I am. Presumably, only your friends and family, though, not strangers. I don't even know your real name, so why would knowing your pen name make a difference? Oh, my name is Val. Now you know my name. And my name is Benjamin, so now you know mine. What's your pen name? Fine, it's Ben Goodman, she replied. No, it isn't, he laughed. Val picked up her e reader from under her thigh and passed it to him. He looked at the title of the book and the name Ben Goodman on the front cover. Yeah, it is. Wow. It's a spooky coincidence that we have the same first name, Benjamin said. Now I'll definitely have to read it, Ben. Please don't. I don't. I feel apprehensive when someone reads my book. Every time someone tells me they're going to read my book or they bought my book, I tend to vomit. You could try that as a marketing ploy. Buy my book and I'll vomit. You never know. It may increase sales. Val smiled and shook her head. Do you read? I read constantly, all the time, nonstop. I haven't seen you read anything since we've been on the plane. I'm taking a break. Would it make you feel better if you saw me reading something? Benjamin asked, taking the in flight magazine from the seat pocket. Oh, look at this. Overpriced watches. Starving children. New movies coming up. Radio channel guide. Riveting stuff. Oh, I know. Maybe I should read your book. No. Do you think I'm going to steal your e reader? Where would I go? I don't want you to read my book while I'm sitting right next to you. Would you like me to vomit on you? No, thank you. I can vomit on myself, usually after too many alcoholic beverages. Let's get some. In fact, let's get some. I don't want to arrive at my destination drunk. Here, I can't finish this book. Would you like to read it? Benjamin reached over and took the paperback from Val's hand. He smiled as he looked at the words on the page. I squeezed the quivering flesh of her bountiful bosom between my fingers as my cock throbbed in desperation. I surged forward, plunging deep between her slender thighs to relieve my cock's yearning in the moist cavern of her pussy. Val burst into loud laughter. Oh God! It's even worse to hear it out loud. It's probably on an audiobook. Someone is probably listening to that in their car right now. How's your moist cavern? Benjamin asked. How's your throbbing cock? She replied. It'd be happier in your moist cavern. Apparently, that will relieve its yearning. Do cocks yearn? Val asked. I guess they must, Benjamin said. Here, keep your dirty book to yourself. Val laughed and put it in the pocket of her seat. Maybe someone will treasure it. Kara didn't say I could bend them afterwards. Benjamin looked over at Val again. She was pretty and sassy, but her hairstyle and clothing choice left a lot to be desired. She was amusing, though, and that was always a good sign she'd be an adventurous lay. He wondered if her bountiful bosom would quiver under his fingers as he plunged deep into her. He figured he could at least ask. Ever considered joining the Mile High Club? Val turned her head and looked at him. What is that exactly? I've heard it mentioned, but I have no idea what it is. It's where you have sex at least a mile off the ground, he whispered. You want to have sex with me? She whispered. We have corresponding parts. You're reading erotica and I have a heart on. We're a perfect match. Are you for real? We're on a plane. I was going to go jerk off, he said. But if you need a fuck, I can give you one. I've given up on meaningless sex with strangers. Thanks anyway. What a shame. It's one of my favorite pastimes. No worries. I'll pick up a flight attendant on my way to the men's room. Good luck with that. They're professionals. Uh-huh, Benjamin said, until they see what I'm offering. He stood up and moved across in front of Val, facing her. That's all me, he whispered. Nice, she replied, looking at his crotch. Enjoy deflating it. He smiled. Oh, I will. He continued by her seat and looked at the flight attendant coming towards him. She was slim in her early 40s and she seemed to have a decent set of breasts. Excuse me, stewardess. Could you assist me with something, please? Certainly, sir. How can I help? I'd prefer to discuss it discreetly, he said, and winked at Val. He gestured the flight attendant towards the curtain, and she pulled it closed when they were both behind it. Is everything okay? She asked. Not really. I have an overwhelming urge to have sexual intercourse, and I'm afraid that if I don't do it, then I could do something crazy. Sorry? Benjamin looked at her name badge and smiled. Me too, Cheryl. He smiled, taking her hand and putting it on the front of his pants. Feel it throbbing? It's like the beating of my heart. I know you're working and I know you're tired, but I will do you as quickly and quietly and skillfully as I can in what limited space we have. Help me. She smiled and opened the bathroom door. Benjamin followed her in, closed the door, and slid the lock to occupied. How tall are you? She asked, rubbing Benjamin's arms. 6'3", or do you mean down here? He asked, undoing the zip. Wow, she replied, looking at what appeared from his pants. Cheryl. Cheryl, meet Little Ben. Little Ben, meet Cheryl. Chapter 2. Have I missed anybody coming in? Benjamin was happy to hear the announcement they were descending. He looked over at Val. Did you hear what the weather is like? They mentioned it when they mentioned the local time. You heard it, right? Yes, my hearing is fine, thank you, she replied, pulling her handbag out from under the seat. I have a hot date in an hour or two. What's a girl to do? She put the handbag on the seat in between them and removed her socks. She undid some buttons on her shirt and looked at Benjamin. Take it all off, baby, he smiled. He had no idea what she was doing, but he was curious about what might be under the baggy flannelette shirt. She unbuttoned it all the way and took it off to reveal a black singlet top. Benjamin nodded his approval. She had nice cleavage and toned arms, and she was smaller framed than she had appeared under the shirt. She shifted upwards to the seat and began lowering her tracksuit pants, then stopped and looked at him. Do you mind? Not at all, he replied and continued to watch. She shook her head and lowered the pants, then pushed them off over her feet. He looked at her bare legs as she stood up and pulled her black skirt down over lower. Are you happy now? She asked, gesturing to her clothes. See, that's just mean, he replied. You have some sexy curves, and you could have been sharing them for the whole flock. I'm not here for your viewing pleasure, Benjamin. I was comfortable, and I wasn't sitting on someone else's sweat. And I. Sit down, ma'am, a flight attendant said. We're descending, and put the armrest down, please. Val sat down and did her seatbelt up before crossing her legs at the thigh and lowering the armrest. Benjamin admired her legs again and took off his jacket. I still have time to get you off before we land, he stated. We can do it under my jacket. Have you got underwear on? Listen, Benjamin, I like that you're a more mordacious prick who seems completely unfazed by rejection, and I even like your handsome face. What I don't like is your inability to take no for an answer. How many times have I said no in the last 8 hours? I don't count negative responses. What you call an inability, I call perseverance. I told you, Nina. Without it, bridges wouldn't be built or buildings erected, or in this case, an attitudinal defensive woman with a foul mouth wouldn't be getting the best 3 minutes of sex she'd ever had. 3 minutes? You think you can get me off in 3 minutes? Do you have an idea how complicated a clitoral orgasm can be? Do you have any idea how difficult it can be to stimulate a woman from the inside? You can't get me off in 3 minutes. Only because you won't give me a chance, but whatever, I'm withdrawing my offer. Fine, get me off in 3 minutes, she shrugged. Nope, I already withdrew the offer. You missed your chance. That's because you can't do it. Oh, I can, with either hand, but why bother wasting my talents on someone who doesn't want it? I can take no for an answer. If I couldn't, wouldn't I have just overpowered you and forced you into something? I don't think no is what you're really saying to me, Val. I think you're saying I really want to, but I can't let myself. Look at Cheryl over there. She's still glowing and making eyes at me. I've probably ruined her for all other men now. Don't you care that she might be married or seeing someone? She didn't say no to me. Besides, I already did a full assessment of her, and the faded tan line from her wedding ring. I'd say she's been divorced for 6 months, mid-40s, 2 adult kids, picks up in bars. And you're probably completely wrong, Val said. And you? You're probably either a receptionist or a teacher. You used to like a lot of risky sex, but then someone ruined it for you. Now you just want to hold out for some knight in shining armor to make sex good again before you hit 30, and for you to live happily ever after with 3 kids and a dog. He looked at Val and noticed her arms were now folded. Ouch. Looks like I hit the nail on the head, Val. But don't worry. Most people won't notice you're trying to be a born-again good girl with your foul mouth and attitude. Just hit your skirt up a little more and keep riding that high horse, honey. In this judgmental society we live in, you can pass for an easy lay who's been ridden around the block if that's what you want. Do you feel better now? Much. I could use a cigarette, Benjamin said. A couple of hours ago, you might have passed for a decent and intelligent guy. I'm glad I didn't fall for that. You're obviously a spoiled, self-centered asshole who's had the world handed to him on a silver platter by his mummy and daddy to make up for his shitty childhood. Money doesn't buy class, Benjamin. It can buy me class by the hour, though, and I'm all for living in the moment. One moment can ruin your life. One moment can make you lose faith in humanity. One moment can make you descend into a nightmare you can't wake up from. Ooh, that's bleak, Val. You should write children's books, Benjamin said. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll write about an orc named Benjamin who disguised himself as a prince in order to steal the dreams of innocent young women. And maybe I'll make sure a real prince comes along and kicks Benjamin's arse. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, honey. He gets all wound up. Benjamin laughed. I really like you. I think we should get together and do something fun. It doesn't have to be sex. Do you want to do something fun with me, Val? Do you want me to take you home? Do you want me to take you home with me? What I'd like to do right now, Benjamin, is hold you underwater until you feel like I do. Yikes. You have some serious issues, Benjamin said, turning towards the window. A minute later, bubbles drifted into his field of view, and popped on the side of his face. What are you doing? He asked, turning back towards Val. I'm cheering you up. Here, keep the bottle. You never know when you'll need to blow bubbles to distract you from your own dick for a few minutes. She pushed the little bottle into his hand and stood up. Benjamin nodded as she slipped out into the gap between seat rows and disappeared from view. Wow, there are some crazy people in the world. Fascinating, no doubt, but crazy, clearly. He relaxed in his seat, waiting to be the last person so he was free to exit the plane without feeling like a bovine. He retrieved his bag and threw the little white bottle into it, and when he picked up his jacket, something orange caught his eye. Val, you forgot something. Your notebook. Val, he whispered. Oh, Val, you forgot something in your notebook. Val, he whispered. Oh, well, she's gone. He walked to the door to the plane, smiling at the flight attendants as he passed by, and headed down the gangway towards the terminal building. Sir, you forgot your notebook. Shit, Benjamin said, turning around. Thanks, Cheryl. He took the notebook and dropped it into his open hand luggage, then put the bag down. He put his arm around Cheryl, kissing her on the cheek and grabbing a handful of her left breast. Thanks for those 2 wonderful fucks. You're a hot woman and your ex is a fool. Take care. Thanks, handsome. You too, she replied with a wink. Benjamin smiled and picked up his shoulder bag. He made his way to the baggage claim area, smiling about all the things he had to look forward to when he got home. He picked up his bag from the first class baggage claim section and continued toward the exit. He looked at the long queues to go through customs and rolled his eyes. First class stops at fucking customs. There has to be a quicker way out of here. He looked along the lines of passengers, wondering if there was someone he could convince to let him jump the queue. He concluded there were too many people, so he looked along the row of counters where the customs staff were checking passports and luggage. He noticed an older woman who had an empty counter and no queue. He wondered if she was there to take special cases and formulated a quick strategy in his head. Benjamin put his jacket on and rolled his shoulders back. He began staring at her intensely, trying to will her to look at him. She looked over at him, so he wiped a pretend tear from his face, looked at his watch, then over the top of the crowd. He looked down at his watch again and sighed, dropping his head. He looked over at her again, and she gestured him over. Benjamin suppressed his smile and headed to her counter. Yes, he asked quickly. Are you all right? No, Benjamin said, shaking his head. My father is dying. I got the first flight I could, and I want to see him before he dies, but the queues are so long here. If bureaucracy is the reason I never see my father alive again, I may become suicidal. Do you have your passport there? She asked. Benjamin nodded and wiped his eye again. He took his passport from inside his jacket pocket and handed it to her. He sighed and looked at the floor. Chin up, dear. I need to make sure this is you, she said. Benjamin sighed and looked at her with the saddest expression he could muster. Hi, he said. Do you have anything to declare? She asked. Only how important it is to live in the moment and never forget to tell people you love them before it's too late, he said, looking at the floor. I meant anything you brought with you from Singapore? Oh, no, I wasn't there to buy souvenirs. I was working. All right, just put your bags up to go through the scanner and we'll have you out of here as soon as we can. Thank you, Benjamin said weakly. He lifted his bags up, put them on the scanner, and walked through. They all look fine. They all look fine, she said. Off you go. I really hope you make it. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much your kindness means to me. I wish I had the time, but I really have to go. I understand. Chin up, young man. Benjamin sighed and picked up his bags. He kept his head down until he was on the other side of the one-way exit doors, then looked around for his driver. He smiled as he saw the familiar man wearing a close-fitting suit and hat and went straight to him. Hello, Colin. Let's go. Did you have a pleasant flight, sir? Yep. Fucked a flight attendant twice, watched a movie, did some reading, had a fascinating time with a charming young lady. It's all good. I can't wait to get home and shower, though. Happy to hear that, sir. This is for you, Colin said, putting his hand on the handle of Benjamin's suitcase. Benjamin released the suitcase and took the envelope. He took out a card and looked at the picture inside. He read the card and shook his head. Oh, good. Dad has arranged my evening for me. I've been back in the country for 5 fucking minutes and I already have plans. Yeah, he's an odd bird. Let's just leave it at that. And he is odder, so don't. Benjamin adjusted his watch and had another sip of his whiskey on the rocks. He looked across to the door of the restaurant for the third time and smiled. There she was. His instructions were clear. Schmooze her, fuck her, and get her to sign a contract. Easy. I love my job, he said to the bartender and finished his whiskey. He looked at the woman as she moved beside the counter. She was thin, but had an ample chest and a dress designed to draw attention to it. She had stockings on. He hoped they stopped at her thighs to make his access easy. Pantyhose were an unnecessary barrier to the pleasure center. She had blonde hair with dark roots and appeared to have had it styled and blow dried. He liked it when a woman made an effort to impress him. He stood up and smiled as the woman approached the bar with the maitre d'. Thank you, Maurice, he said. Are you Benjamin? She asked in a silky voice. Oh, Miss Sammy, do a silky voice. Are you Benjamin? She asked in a silky voice. Yes, and you must be Zoe, he said, taking her hand and kissing her knuckles. Yes, I'm excited to be here. I'm happy to hear that. Shall we take a seat? This is our table here by the dance floor. Do you dance? Yes, of course, she replied. Benjamin nodded and pulled out her chair for her. I'm an extremely busy and important man, Zoe, he stated as he sat down opposite her. I'm grateful you agreed to see me in person. I wanted to meet you and tell you how amazing your edits were and what a pleasure our combined work was to read. You make me want to try harder and dream bigger. Thank you. I can't wait to sign the contract and make it official. Benjamin's bullshit detector went off and he smiled. Thank you. I brought a contract with me, but I do have some concerns. Like what? She asked, looking at the table and back at him. I could make this book huge. I could make you an international success, but I'm not willing to do that without being credited on the first pages as the editor. Oh, yes. Okay. That makes sense. You did a lot of work on my rough edges. The first three chapters are perfect now. They're amazing. And I love that you could see my potential and you gave me a chance. Benjamin watched her move her fingers to her decollage of her dress. She was trying to seduce him. He had no intention of telling her there was no need, and he was curious to see what she was willing to do to get to the contract. It's my job to know what will sell and what won't, and to approve any book we're going to publish. We have special times we allow manuscripts to come in, and any unsolicited manuscripts go straight to the in the bin. Your work came to my attention from another avenue, Zoe, but my concern, as I started to say, is that you won't be able to hold my attention. I think it's incredible someone who is so handsome can also be so smart. Did everyone always assume you were stupid? Did everyone always say you can't be pretty and smart? That's what they always told me, and they're wrong. I can get plenty of sex, and I can also achieve a lot with my brain. Benjamin looked at her and wondered how much money she had spent on making herself pretty and how smart she really was under the facade. She was clearly manipulative. She looked like she might be a tantrum thrower, someone with a short fuse, but she also looked like someone who knew which side her bread was buttered on. Benjamin looked forward to pressing her buttons and bringing out the diva in her. If there was one thing he knew how to do well, it was piss people off. He liked to put pressure on people and see where their true colors were hiding. He disliked false people, and given time, he could always find their inconsistencies. You're really very handsome, Benjamin sighed. You think I'm handsome? Thank you. I don't think I am. Smart? Yes. But I don't go out much to be told I'm handsome. I'm the head of the department, so I don't have time to socialize. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I enjoyed the company of a woman. Oh, Benjamin, that is so sad. You're an attractive man, and any woman in her right mind would want to have sex with you. Thank you. That's nice of you to say, Benjamin replied. But back to my issue with having you sign up with Ginger and Field. I just don't know if you can do it, Zoe. You're going to need a lot of assistance to be polished enough to make it big. I can do it, but I have to know you're really worth it. I have to know that if I'm going to be putting my name and my company logo on your work, that you have what it takes. Have you got what it takes? Of course I do. I have it in spades. I went to the best schools and have always had everything I ever wanted. I worked hard too. Writing is my life. Becoming an international bestseller is my biggest dream, and I will do anything I have to do to make that happen. Okay, we'll start with a contract for two books, and we'll see how it goes. I guarantee I can make you a bestseller. Thank you. I won't let you down. I will give you 150%. That's not possible. If you only have 100 of something, then you can only give 100 of it. Percent means per hundred. So technically, unless we're talking in a financial capacity with a growth area, your effort can only reach 100 out of 100. Well, it's just an expression. Benjamin pressed his lips together. 5 minutes in, and she'd already resorted to Durr. Her intelligence just dropped a lot, in his opinion. So, you'll do your best? Yes, I will do my best, Zoe said. If you have any doubts about me, I could show you how keen I am to have my book published and what I'm willing to do to make it happen. Benjamin smiled as she thrust her breast forward. Oh, and how would you do that? I can think of a few ways, she said, moving the point of her high heel up his calf muscle. He moved his chair back. They don't make these tables very wide, do they? Sorry if I was taking up your leg room there. He maintained a blank expression as she squirmed. Well, perhaps I wanted to touch you, she said. Me? Why? There have been occasions where I've used my beauty instead of my brains to get what I want. I just wanted you to know I'm willing to prove how keen I am. I can show you personally how grateful I am for your consideration of my work and your assistance to make it the best. Benjamin rubbed his knuckles on his jaw and leant forward. Are you suggesting you want to have sex with me? He whispered. Yes, if you're not offended by that, but no, if you are. Benjamin laughed. I see. So you're offering to have sex with me if it's to your advantage to do so, but you're withdrawing it if it won't help your chances with your career. Yes, I mean, no. I want to fuck you, she shrugged. You're hot. Ah, Benjamin nodded. Well, the direct approach is probably the best. I've personally made a number of authors famous, and I know what it takes. I've read your work, and I've made corrections and sent them to you via one of my subservient colleagues. You obviously know that. However, I'm the one who makes the decision about offering contracts and how much we're willing to spend on you in terms of graphics and marketing. Basically, I get to decide whether to make or break your career as an author. And where do you see it going? Your work needed work, as you know. The concepts were good, the storyline was engaging, and the sex scenes were written by someone who obviously has a lot of experience with sex. I do, she said with a smile. Your main character is almost schizophrenic when it comes to their work and their life. It's very interesting. Are the characters based on people you know? Will we be open to being sued? No, the names have been changed to protect the guilty. They won't recognize themselves. Lucky them. My strategy is to always make a paper version of what I'm reading. I like to waste a lot of paper. I print out what I'm reading and I get a red pen and physically mark what I want to change by underlining it. Then I go back to the computer version with my notes and make changes and send it back to you. You could just scan and email me the ones you've written on, and I could change it myself. I could, but you probably won't understand what I'm trying to suggest. That's why I rewrote it for you. It was quicker that way. We both have to be happy with it, though. I'm extremely happy with it. I'm curious about where you get your ideas for your characters and stories. I mean, apart from a potentially long list of lovers who participate expertly in your head to come up with the sex scenes, I get inspired by many things apart from personal experience. I'm well read and I'm very social and I like to be involved. How involved? Benjamin asked, looking at her breast as she put her hand to her chest. Very, she said. You're obviously a talented man, Benjamin. You made my detective a lot sexier in those 3 chapters. I wonder if that comes from your personal experience. He can come across more like a kid than a suave man who could acquire sex like he does. I just gave him a little James Bond. You're excellent, she said. I know, Benjamin replied. I'm very happy at the thought of working with you as my editor. Being an editor is beneath me to me a degree. After all, I am the head of publishing. If I didn't enjoy reading and editing the way I do, I could give it away. I don't need the money. Do you know what I'm offering? I'm hoping you're going to offer me sex. I'd be very open to that offer, Zoe said, running her eyes over his chest. I'm offering you an opportunity. I know, and I'm grateful. Please, I'll take whatever you're offering. Give me the contract. I'll sign it. Benjamin put his hand on the contract. I'm offering you an opportunity to impress me in other ways, Zoe. I am more than up for that. I didn't realize you were going to be so good looking or sexy, Benjamin. I want to have sex with you. Thank you, but I don't mean sex or your writing. I mean in other ways. I can't think of any other ways right now. I will not let sex get in the way of our relationship. I just want to have sex with you. Forget that we're going to be working together and let's just fuck like people fuck. Benjamin sighed. Maybe you're right. After you sign the contract, we should have sex to how figure out how our working relationship is going to go. If the sex is lousy, then we maintain our distance and stick to email correspondence. If the sex is good, then we work in close collaboration and get the job done faster. The more books you create and sell, the more popular you become. The more money we both make, and the more likely it is to move to our movie production team. You have a movie production team? My book can be a movie. I could be famous. You're going to be famous, Zoe. There's no doubt about it. You write interesting stories, you're good to look at, and you definitely have star qualities. Now we just need to come up with an interesting background for you. How about I used to be a high class call girl? She asked. It's been done, but we could make it work. We'll come up with something. Benjamin shrugged. Marketing can handle that. I guess we could eat and then go fuck, Zoe said with a smile. Yes, that. Shall we just slip into the men's room now? No, Zoe, not for what I have in mind. Not if it's going to be the first time I've had sex in I don't know how long. No, there's a beautiful hotel across the street. I can handle wait. I can hardly wait to relieve our obvious sexual tension, she replied, picking up a menu. Benjamin smiled. She was making the sex her idea, and she was keen to sign the contract. He had no idea why his father thought it would be hard to get her to sign a contract, but he was interested to find out. There you go. I got my 2 chapters in. This book made me laugh, made me cry, made me mad. It made me downright angry and murderous in some ways. But it's really a cute book. It really is. It's just that it comes from there's so many tangents, which can be a good thing, but it makes it for a deeper book. So it's not a quick read. Mm-mm. This ain't a quickie, y'all. This is one of those long, slow fucks. Yeah, that's the kind of book it is. So, but I highly, highly suggest you read it. I really do. And the girls will tell you, as I was reading it, I was telling them to read it. Of course, they didn't because they never listened to me. They're always off on their own tangents. We believe it or not, the three of us, or 4 or 5 of us, whoever's on here, we don't all read the same books. It's crazy. You would think we'd have our own little book club going as much as we read, but we don't. But yeah, it's a really good book. It really is. But you can't rush it. I mean, You got to get into it. So, but I highly recommend it. And it's a long book. And if you're a quick reader and you read constantly, you'll probably get it done this weekend if you don't have anything else going on. Other than that, Nina, you are no more a good girl than I am, lying bitch. But this book is full of sex. It's full of love. There is a love in here that will just reach into your heart and just squeeze it. And I mean, it's a good book, y'all. It really is. So exactly. This is one of those you sit back and you just get comfy in your recliner and you just go at it, Miss Shirley. You got it. If you're snowed in, this is what you need to be reading. So, all right, ladies, it's time to get off from here. I got hoodlums this weekend. I got my 3-year-old nephew this weekend. He's been telling his mom every time she picks him up from daycare, are we going to Nays? Are we going to Nays? So look who's coming to my Nays house. So I'm going to be dying next week. So, but yeah, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Read a book. Read this book, y'all. It's good. It really is. If you got the time and the energy, just sit down and read it. Do it. I highly recommend it. I want to know. Somebody message me when you read this book, okay? I want to know what you think. Alrighty. And if you do read it, make sure you leave a review. I kind of forgot to leave a review after it because I remember when I got through with it, life was a little crazy. And she had to remind me the other day to go leave a book. Miss Shirley, you don't need to cut back on this. This is a good one. This is a good one. Just go get it. You'll be all right. This is like 3 books. I mean, this book is really long, so it's like 3 books. So go get it, Miss Shirley, and let me know what you think. All right, everybody. I will talk to you guys next week. No live read on Sunday, so I'll see you next Wednesday. So happy reading.